Hi guys, so today I'm going to be doing a book review video. I only have 6 books, and half of them were good, half of them weren't. Well, 2 books really weren't that great. So I'm just going to get right, well, 3 books weren't that great. So I'm going to get into the ones that weren't that great. So this book, it wasn't like it was bad, but it really, to me, it wasn't that great. And this is the, like the biography. It's not really a biography, it's a memoir. And I've been reading biographies because I have a ton of them and I want to get through them all. So hopefully by like the summertime, I'll be done with them and then I can read regular books. So this is called Home. It's by Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews was in Sound of Music and Mary Poppins and The Princess Diaries, and it's just a memoir of her early years. So it stops around the time she starts Mary Poppins and she has her daughter. And there's 2 sets of pictures. One set is from when she was like a teenager and a baby and stuff, and then the next set was about like when she got married and her later years being like in her 20s. And this is what it looks like. And the one thing that's like really weird about this book was just the fact that like most of the chapters seem repetitive and some of the chapters were short, so I don't know why she didn't just make like a really long chapter for that one thing. But there was some like interesting things in this book, like when she learned that some guy was really her dad and that everybody knew, the person that brought her up as her dad knew, all this stuff. It was a really, really interesting book, and I didn't know she had a lot of like half siblings and stuff either. And I just thought, like, it was interesting because I don't know that much about Julie Andrews, except for, she was in Mary Poppins and all those movies that I said previously. But I liked it. I mean, it was an okay book. Like, I feel like, and it wasn't a book about, like, royalty, so I was like, okay, like, I'm good with this. But I don't know. It just seemed like it was dragging on and on and on. I feel like there was some stuff like she could either put into the same chapter or she could have omitted it. Like, that's just how I am. So, this is the 9th book in the Cedar Cove series. It's 92 Pacific Boulevard. It's by Debbie Macomber. This is what it looks like. And this book is about the sheriff. He's a sheriff, right? Yeah, sheriff. And his name's Troy. And in the previous books, we learned that, his wife died of MS. His daughter, Megan, she was expecting a baby with her husband. And the baby, she miscarried it. And then they thought that she had MS. But I don't think they ever said still if she has MS or not. And then he finds out that his high school flame is back in town and he wants to be with her, but then he decides that he doesn't want to be with her because of Megan and what she's going through and stuff. So this book takes place picking up where that left off, where he broke up with Faith because of that reason, to take care of his daughter. And something happens to our house, and so he's the sheriff, so he has to investigate. And all this time he's thinking like, oh, I really wish I could comfort her or do this stuff for her, and I can't because of this stuff. So Megan is actually trying to get them together. And then in the other storyline in the book, because there's always like a couple, the other storyline in the book was still about Olivia. She has cancer, and her friend is trying to help her get better and help her help her get money and stuff like that, and helping her through different things as she's going through this battle herself. And then the other storyline was about the chess champion's wife. I forget her name. I think it's like Rachel. She has her babies in this one. And I just liked it. I mean, these books are books that, I never watched the Cedar Cove series on TV. I never did. But I was like, these books, I like them. And I think this one was really good in particular. I don't know why, it just seemed like it was really good. And yeah, so this book, next book, it's called The American Heiress. And when I don't remember where I got this book. It's probably from a book sale. And this book is by Daisy Goodwin. And I read the back, and it said Cora on it in the back. So I thought it was about, like Lady Grantham, Earl Grantham's wife, from Downton and stuff. And it turns out it wasn't. It's about this woman who's named Cora, and she's an American heiress to her family's fortune, because in America it didn't matter if you were a boy or a girl, you got what you wanted. And in England, obviously, if you were the firstborn son, you got titles and everything. So what happens is she meets this duke, and I forget what the duke's name was. I forget. And I forget what he was the duke of. But anyway, he meets her when she falls off her horse and stuff, and they're afraid she's going to get a concussion. That's how they met. And it turns out that they get married. They fall in love, and they're getting married. And they get married, and she realizes things are completely different than they are back in the States, and how things are different, and how the house is run and stuff like that. And she's always comparing it to, like, her mother's household and stuff. And this is what the book looks like. And there is a ending in the back of at the end. There's an ending that I am not happy with. So if you read this book, you're gonna be like, oh, why didn't she do this? Because of what was going on in the relationship she was with her husband. So you would think, oh, she would have did this, but she debates about it, let's just say that. So this one it's kind of like a punny title, punny, like Punny. It's called Don't Cry for Me, Hot Pastrami, and it's by Sharon Kahn, and this is what it looks like. It's a small little book. It only took me like a day to read. And it was about this woman. They're all they're Jewish. All of the people in the book are mostly Jewish, except for like a couple people. And the temple is earning money for something, and the lady who like runs like the charities and the treasuries and stuff of this temple decides to do a cruise. And the woman, I think her name was Rachel too, let me make sure. No, Ruby. It was Ruby. She gets hooked on this. She's like this sassy kind of woman, like this cocky woman. And then there's that, that energetic woman who's in charge of everything and wants to do everything right. She's in like every single thing you can imagine. And they're on this boat, and the professor who was going to teach them, they were going on this cruise to St. Thomas, where I guess it's like there's lots of Jews on St. Thomas Island in the Bahamas or Virgin Islands or wherever St. Thomas is. And the professor who was going to educate them throughout the trip there dies. And so the whole thing is about, trying to figure out who killed him and why. And they think it's this one person, but it really isn't. It was just a good book. I really liked it. And I just liked it. It was really good. It was better, it was different, but I just thought I just liked the main character. The main character just seemed really funny to me. So this is a series. Well, this is the first volume. There's 2 volumes as I know of. And this is Midnight Suns. It's a 2-in-1. It's volume 1. It's by Debbie Macomber. And this is what it looks like. And usually when I read Debbie Macomber, like 2-in-1s, I'm kind of like, I don't really like them, because usually one ends kind of weird and then the other one's better. But it's about this group of brothers. I think there's like 4 of them. Well, there has to be at least 4, because there's another set. And they live in Alaska. They own this, I think it's like I don't even know what it is. I think it's like a drilling type of thing, or something to look for gold, like a company looking for gold and stuff, because when they got established from their ancestors, they were looking for gold and stuff in Alaska, instead of going down the beaten track of going to like Canada, California and stuff. And the two stories are called Brides for Brothers and The Marriage Risk. And it's about these brothers who, they're trying to get women to come to the town because it's a small town. And the first woman that comes to town, they want to look for single women that have no kids, nothing. They want to drop their life and come to Alaska. Well, the first woman ends up becoming, or supposed to become, the librarian. And when the first son, it's supposed to be like they're picking out their wives already when they get like their submissions. And it turns out that she has kids and all this stuff. And he's upset because he didn't want somebody that had kids already or anything like that. He wanted a single woman who didn't have kids right away, stuff like that. And she finds out about what they were doing, and you just have to see if they get together or not. And the second book was about a woman who, her grandparent was somehow involved or something in, the Midnight Suns stuff. And, yeah, and then it's about, like, the guy really loves her, but then they have that rivalry between her, I think, grandma and his mother or something like that. So, like, it's like one of those stories on Hallmark where it's like, oh, you can't date a blah, blah, blah. Or, like, even Romeo and Juliet, you can't date a Montague, you can't date a Capulet, stuff like that. It was kind of like that. And that's about it. I mean, they weren't, like, they both ended how they were supposed to end and blah, blah, blah. But it was the only reason why I read this is because the second volume, when you see the cover of it, one of my dogs got to it a while ago, and I never got a chance to read it because of that reason. So if I read it in the second book review video, well, the next book review next week's or whatever, that's why, because the volume 2, my dog ate most of the cover off of it. And yeah, so one last book. This is like a Stephen King short story type of book, I guess, because, his books are really long. And there's another one, and I think I have it, but I don't know where it is. There was another one, and this is called Apt Pupil. It's by Stephen King. It's a small book. Like, I finished this in a day, and I couldn't put it down, and this is what it looks like. It's about this, boy named Todd. And, well, okay, let me just say, it's a boy named Todd who ends up finding this highly ranked man who worked in a concentration camp during World War II. And he wants to learn about what happened to, what kind of stuff he was in charge of, and if he felt what he felt and stuff like that. And I thought, oh, this is going to be like a graphic book. Like, I thought, oh, he's going to get into graphic detail about what happened to the Jewish people at these camps and everything like that. And I was like, I hope the whole book isn't like this. But when that first starts happening, I think it's a thing where you kind of start wanting to read it because you want to see if it gets graphic or not, and it doesn't. And, well, it kind of does a little bit, but it doesn't. So what happens is Todd starts hanging out with him more and starts becoming this awful person. And it's stirring up stuff inside of the man that he is talking to, because he's reliving stuff that he did. And towards the end of the book, he is actually, he gets into the hospital, and the guy that's in the hospital with him is somebody who, I don't know I think he was at one of the camps, or his family was or something, and he wants to take revenge out on this man. And it has a shocking end to it, let's just put it that way. And I felt like it kind of ended like it should have ended like it says all this stuff happened in it, and then the end was just like an abrupt ending, like it shouldn't have ended the way it did without any like explanation or anything. But I liked it. I thought it was good. I mean, if you don't really like, like that kind of stuff, like the concentration camp part of it, like I said, it's not the whole book. They don't talk explicitly about what happened. They just talked about it maybe like a handful of times, maybe like 5 times. And I don't know how many chapters are in it. I forget. There's like maybe 30 some. I don't remember. But the chapters are short. Some are short, some are long. You know how he writes. But it was a good book. There's another one. I think it's called Sundog, and I think I have it. But I don't know what bag, because I have them in like bags, these books, and I don't know where it is. I don't know which one it is in. I don't know. But that was my book review video. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, and see you guys next time with another video.